What is up, guys? This is Azam, and today I am so excited. As most of you know, how passionate I am about blockchain and technology in general, and people tend to question why I support, certain cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or what's up with blockchain. Well, the reason why I'm so excited about blockchain is the kind of opportunities that it can create for a lot of people across the landscape. And one of the companies that I know that are working on solving some major issues across the globe using blockchain technology is BANQU. And with me today is the CEO of BANQU, Ashish, a good friend and a remarkable entrepreneur. So without further ado, uh, welcome Ashish to.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Blessed to be here.
Right. So, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your BanQ and blockchain.
Fantastic. So, thank you. We are a blockchain software as a service primarily focused on a significant problem in the world, which is extreme poverty and the refugee crisis. And what we have built is a blockchain as a service platform that does two things. It allows people who live in extreme poverty, especially who live in extreme poverty in supply chains, now the ability to bring a level of traceability, transparency in the supply chains that they work in a way that they have now a legitimate, what we call the economic passport on blockchain, in a way that they can prove their supply chain data in terms of harvest, land, quality of crops they might be growing, education records, health records, and things like that, which actually is a fundamental thing that has never been solved before, because people who live in extreme poverty, migrant workers, or refugees, they don't get to participate equally in the global supply chains of the world. And using blockchain, we are now legitimizing those transactions in a way that they can prove their existence in the supply chain beyond just identity, right? Because pure identity on blockchain is good, but it's old news. The real value of blockchain is what we call the transaction identity, or this economic passport, where everybody in that bottom of the pyramid, if they can prove who they are, what they have done, they are basically closer to one step out of extreme poverty. So that's kind of what we do. We're live in 5 countries. We're adding 6 more this year, and we're continuing to grow because we're a for-profit, for-purpose company.
Okay, no, wow, that's amazing. So one of the things that I've come across in the blockchain ecosystem is that there's a lot of companies that are doing ICOs and raising funds, and the tagline that they have is, we are creating the blockchain for the underserved, underbanked. Now, at this point, they don't have any utility. They don't have any platform created. So are you telling me that BanQu actually has a working software?
Yes, so we actually started a couple of years ago,
Wow.
and we went live commercially last year. So we have, first of all, a absolutely fully developed functional supply chain and records management product that's up and running. We went live with multiple customers, revenue-paying customers, last year. We have about 25,000 people on our network. And actually, when you talked about ICO, we've decided not to do an ICO because we're a real business, we're a real company, we're a software company. So actually, we launched something called the tokenized asset offering, which is basically an offering which allows you to have an offering that's based on assets, because we're a real company, we're real stock and things like that.
Wow.
And it is not an ICO, because a lot of the ICOs are utility tokens that basically manage the currency hedge. Whereas for us, we're a real software as a service business. So
Nice.
our offering is a tokenized asset offering, and our offering went public this morning.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations on that. So, what's the purpose right now? What is BanQu looking to achieve maybe in the next 3 to 6 months?
Right. So one of the biggest things that we're looking to achieve in the next 3 to 6 months is continue the momentum we have a dream of pulling 100 million people out of extreme poverty while being $100 million, profitable business, for profit, for purpose in the next 10 to 15 years. So the next 3 to 6 months is really, expanding our footprint, continuing to work with farmers, people who are in modern day slavery, people who are working in situations where they're not able to prove their existence. If they can't prove their existence, their interest rates are really, really high. So it's really kind of continuing to grow, but we want to stick to our message that we are a supply chain management company and we do records management. So the use cases can be health records for homeless people. Use cases could be records and supply chain transparency for coffee, cacao, other agriculture zones or garment workers, retail. So just supply chain and records management. If we just stay that path, we'll continue the success that we had in 2017.
No, that's amazing. So here's what I want to get straight, right? I think all of this, what you guys are trying to do, is phenomenal work. But are you just focused on the developing world, or would you also be looking at issues that come up like these for individuals within the US or Canada or UK that are dealing with homelessness and helping put their records on for healthcare on the blockchain?
Yeah, so the focus is less in terms of what geography. The focus is more around there's 100 million people, right, today, at least in our site. There's 2.5 billion people who are in extreme poverty, and that includes different flavors. But for example, we're starting something in a couple of places in the United States where today homeless people in a large city, they get shuttled from one hospital system to another. And these two hospital systems have no idea what the health record was, right? So we've already solved that where via the BANQU blockchain network, that homeless person has full privacy, full data access capabilities because we run a secure blockchain where the data is actually at the individual level. So it's the ownership at the homeless person's level. And using BANQU, they can now prove, hey, I have a penicillin allergy. You can look up my social security number and things like that. So it's US or any other country that has this issue around people who are marginalized, have never been allowed to own, access, monetize, and basically provision access to their data. And we're basically solving that problem every day.
Right. Okay. Wow. That's amazing. Now, one thing that comes with such a platform is that you're talking about access, right? That's great if you're able to put all their information on the BANQU blockchain that you have. Does that mean that these individuals would need access to phone or computer or somehow Wi-Fi and internet to be able to show their data to these gatekeepers, perhaps?
So that's one thing we spent a lot of time, right? So spent a lot of time in refugee camps in the last 5 years, and I kind of realized that not everybody has a smartphone, not everybody has an internet connection. So the way we built this network, it's a mobile-enabled network, but you don't need a smartphone. So we don't have an app. It's a mobile site, completely blockchain. We use Ethereum in a permission method. And if you are that refugee or you're that homeless person, all you would need is an SMS phone. So you can basically connect via a simple SMS phone because you're allowed to transact. And then you can then access any device in the world and get your economic passport or history by logging onto the website. But you don't need a smartphone. You can do everything via SMS.
Wow, that's amazing. So I know you said earlier that you already have a platform built. You've already got individuals you're helping and it's revenue generating. Is there a way we can get to see the platform in action right now?
Yes, absolutely. Let's jump in and I'll kind of walk you through in a live scenario.
Okay, fantastic. So you've got the screen share on your end.
So all right, let's do this. All right, I'm going to switch off the camera.
Okay.
So that we don't need a bandwidth. Okay. So let's dive in, and I'll kind of give you a tour of the product, right? So one of the most important things about BANQU, which nobody else has, is we actually have a phenomenal user interface, right? A lot of people who are doing prototyping or testing, they don't have a full product. So we spend a lot of time and money actually building a UI that then runs on top of the actual blockchain layer. So that's kind of one thing that's extremely unique about us. Right. The second thing that's extremely unique about us is we've actually done something that's interesting in a way that we connect people to organizations and assets, which makes us very unique. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, if you look at the entire world, especially people who live in extreme poverty, migrant workers, or refugees, they are interacting with some sort of a supply chain at any given time. And if you're looking at interacting with any given time, any supply chain at any given time, what you'll recognize that it's basically a connection between people, organizations, and assets, right? And so let's start. The first step is what we've done is we've created a permission network where I can log in as an organization and I can see all my people in my network, right? And we've got kind of this whole, face-based technology that we've created that allows us to keep a history of all the photos, to do, specific KYC, AML confirmation on transactions. So what you're looking at a high level, if I've logged in as an organization that's subscribing to the BANQU blockchain.
Hello?
People could be farmers, could be garment workers, could be other organizations, and things like that. I opt in as this farmer. The farmer view will be different, and a lot of people say, well, farmers probably don't have smartphones and things like that. And as I said in the interview earlier, we can do everything through SMS. But if the farmer was to access a smartphone or a laptop, you'll see that the farmer's ecosystem is much smaller, right? So the farmer's ecosystem basically shows that, they're part of a trust network, right? So it's kind of this whole idea that if I'm a farmer and I'm selling you my crop and then you pick it up and then you take it to a broker, then broker brings it to a factory. There's many people in the supply chain, and unfortunately the farmer has no transparency. So what we've actually created is something really unique where not only the farmer basically now starts building their history, but going back to data ownership and data rights and everything, the farmer now starts building an end-to-end history of all the transactions that they are involved in, right? So for example, and we tag every transaction to a photo that the farmer has taken, right?
Wow.
And this kind of starts ensuring that not only that farmer has data rights, but they're starting to build this economic passport, if you may, of transactions that are tied to their biometric identity. And I can capture data like, language, employment history, especially if you're migrant workers and you lost everything. You're able to capture and create this, what we call the digital folder, if you may, that then gets certified on the blockchain, right? And that's kind of a key piece that a lot of companies don't have. Just a quick thing here, because we run a permission ledger, it's all based on invitation and data using, different combinations of biometrics and things like that. If you think deeper at the farmer level, what you can see is we've created something unique where I can now not only have specialty fields for the farmer, but, if I'm working as a garment worker, or for example, if I'm a construction worker, working on a stadium or something like that, and I want to be able to prove my wages, so that, I am in good labor conditions and things like that, we can capture all of that data. And then going back to the enterprise view, you'll see that we actually also have spent a lot of time making sure that the network basically is where the whole idea of blockchain lives and breathes, right? So we've also created specific views where I can now do sorting based on connecting new people. And, it's really kind of data ownership and access, right? But actually, I can go a little bit deeper and I can see now what are my different assets. This is kind of one of the unique features that we've added when I talked about people, organizations, and assets. You can see that I have, individual assets at a company level, but I can manage my assets at actually the farmer level. So the farmer can, hey, I have crop, I am a cattle rancher, or I'm paying my bills. And I can also attach files, I can take pictures and things like that. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, absolutely. This is just amazing to see so much detail going into it. This is phenomenal.
But the real magic of the system comes down to, right, when people are organizations in a trust network, right, their validity or their economic passport is always going to come down to the transaction side, right? So one of the things that BANQU is unique, and I'll come back to the actual farmer, is that every transaction that ever happens on the BANQU network, A, it's certified because obviously it's blockchain, but B, it basically maintains a copy that goes across all the parties that are participating, right? So what I'm going to do is that if I'm this farmer right now here, I can now show you every single transaction that's ever occurred occurred on my network, right? And the reason why that's important is that if something happened and the farmer had to leave or had to move, right? This legitimizes their existence in the supply chain and the value chain. But the transaction history is going to prove that, hey, I have a piece of land. I have been working with, a coffee company. I have been selling, crop and things like that. And what will happen is, I'm not going to lost the internet yet, but I will be able to show you every single transaction that becomes part of my portfolio, right? So it's a simple example. I tell people, look, when I came to the United States, I had $240. At the end of the first month, I had a rent receipt. I came legally. I had a rent receipt. I had an employment pay stub. I had my utility bill, and I was able to get a credit card. And the reason why I was able to do that is because it allowed me to prove my existence because I was able to establish my transaction identity, right? And the transaction identity is what is critical, right? If you can't prove your transaction information, then there's no way you can prove who you are, and then you're going to continue to be a number like the refugees are or people who live in poverty. I think my internet just died here.
Oh,
let's try this. Right?
Yeah. No, so wow, this is
Can you see me?
I can't. That's fine because we've gotten to see quite a bit of what BANQU is capable of doing. So let me just kind of there it is.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to show a couple of things, right? So
yeah.
So BANQU is I can now, as a corporation, legitimately show you my supply chain that has been certified, right? Every single transaction. And if I'm actually a farmer, I can prove to you every single bag of coffee that I've grown, what tree it came from, who I sold it to, what was the price. If I have to bring in a picture, I can bring in a picture, right? And that's kind of what makes this unique is because we are able to show in detail that this person is legit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, one quick thing, we're because we're global, right now we're operating in multiple languages, so English, French, Spanish, Arabic, right? So we're doing a lot of work with these, and this is one of the things that allows us also to do is, we can deploy new languages quickly, and it makes it more and more usable without having to, throw a goofy interface at people. So sorry, let me stop there.
Wow.
Is this helping? Or did I lose you?
Yeah. We're on the page with the information about so like it's in the translation is in Arabic language. So yeah.
Arabic, yes. I was just showing, it's because we're operating in so many different countries, and then we also have a whole certification process. A lot of people ask us, right? How do you certify? So what we've actually built is kind of this notion of LinkedIn meets blockchain, where, for example, if you said you're a farmer, or if you said, hey, I went to, a polytechnic college, we can actually verify and say, hey, did you actually go there? Because we have an API now that allows us to connect to external data sources. So I can not only review your application if I'm trying to certify you as a farmer or a garment worker, I can see your photo history real time, and I can basically look at, review and say, hey, who's certified? Who are the legitimate people in the supply chain? So, we're talking to large retailers that want to know where their cosmetics came from. Large ag companies want to know where their actual, crop and milk came from and things like that.
Wow. No, that's this is great. Now, all of this information is put on the blockchain. So I'm assuming that BANQU is not holding any of this information, perhaps, but rather just putting it on the blockchain?
Yeah, so one of the unique things about us, right, is which kind of makes us, really, really stand out is that, we believe that at the end of the day, people who live in, extreme poverty, right, have the right to own their data, right? So the data is
Right.
owned actually at the individual level. And so that kind of really puts us ahead of anybody in the world, which is at the end of the day, right? If you can own and access and monetize your data, that's your ticket out of poverty.
Right. Right. Wow. That's just amazing. Just so fascinating, right? We've never seen something like that before, and now this is possible through the blockchain. It's yeah, it's really really cool. Wow.
And when if and we do a lot more deeper dive demos where we actually do our use cases and things like that.
Yeah.
So we would be happy to. I mean, I'm happy to do that. We have a great team. We do quite a few demos during the week, so we can absolutely go deeper.
Right. Right. Okay. No, this has been great. Do you want to try switching cameras now?
Let me see. Okay, let's try this one more time. It's when you get to my age, right? A lot of all technology doesn't all work at the same time.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, let's see. How about now? Can you see me?
Not yet. I'm just seeing the.
It's like looks like you're doing
There
a
you go.
breakdance.
There you go. Now you are, man. No.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah, that was just mind blowing to see that, to experience finally someone putting a blockchain technology.
And it's live, right?
Yeah, it's
people are
live.
using it.
Right.
We're adding customers every day.
Yeah, I could see certain corporations and individuals, their names and everything on it. That's amazing. And so for as of right now, what are you guys doing? Are you guys doing any kind of sale right now? Are you guys raising funds? What's going on with BANQU currently?
So, we decided, as I said earlier, right, not to do an ICO
Right.
because there's a lot of risks in the ICOs, and we have a real business, right? So we're not walking around with a white paper telling people that we're going to change the world. So we just decided to do a tokenized asset offering. We are basically just started the public sale today.
Okay.
And we're on the Templum platform, which is really well known. We're actually the first tokenized asset offering. So we're pretty thrilled about that. So it's basically, think about it as one stock equals one token, or one token equals one stock. And if you go to the Templum platform, I can send you the link. It will let you go and participate in the public sale. And we're hoping we'll be able to raise a good amount. And then it's more than raising money, right? We're really looking for people who believe in this for-profit, for-purpose model. People who believe that impact investing is relevant. But people who also believe that we're using blockchain technology for like real lasting good instead of just cryptocurrency hedging.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, that's my belief to life, is that the way that we should invest is through like impact investing, sustainable investing, right? That concept I believe in. And whether it's AI or blockchain, these are just tools at the end of the day. It's the individuals around it, how they use it, and how they're able to stretch it out into building something as unique as what we just saw with BANQU. Because I think a lot of people ask questions about blockchain, what it is. And in theory, I can talk all I want, but what I love to show is the applications. And this was probably the first time that I'm showing certain applications of the blockchain, besides obviously Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, where it's genuinely helping, change the lives of so many people. So now I know, Ashish, you said that your goal is 100 million individuals to get them out of poverty, which is, to a lot, it seems quite ambitious that, everyone, as a millennial, right? It's like everything that we do needs to have a cause to it, right? We put a cause, to everything as footnote. So the way that BANQU seems very promising to me, right? It excites me. That this is the reason why I believe the blockchain has so much potential. Now, that 100 million number that you have, is there a timeline that you would love to see being that achieved in the future through BANQU?
Yeah, so again, the cost part is critical, but we're very. That's why we say we're for profit for purpose, right? So we want $100 million in revenue and 100 million people out of extreme poverty, right? And to be honest, it's very achievable in the next 10 to 15 years. So our range is 10 to 15 years, and honestly, at the rate at which we're going, we could hit it in 5, right? And then we'll add another 100 million. But I think while the 100 million people sounds like a big number, the reality is that there's 2.5 billion people who are living in extreme poverty today.
Right.
There's 70 million refugees, right? So 100 million is in the big scope of things a pretty small number, especially if you're one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Now, I know you said that you're for profit, for purpose. So the way that you are earning revenues, is that through charging these farmers and refugees for having their information?
That's one. So we never charge the refugees. We'll never charge the refugee. We'll never charge farmers or garment workers or people who are in modern day slavery and things like that. We've actually, this is kind of the whole notion of supply chains. Right? There are large corporations today that buy their coffee and cacao, corn or cassava, whatever, or buying their genes, or buying their the minerals of the things that go into your phone, right, like the coltan and the cobalt. And what we found that these supply chains, they might be efficient on the back end in terms of the ERP and things like that, but they are not transparent and traceable when it comes to the last mile. Last mile being these billions of people who are living in extreme poverty, yet they are they play a role in that supply chain, right? So we basically are a software as a service company. We sell access to the BANQU software for these large companies, and they can access our software. They pay us a license fee, connects them to the last mile, and while we make revenue on the software as a service side, our purpose, if you may, it also enables the people in the last mile to build kind of their economic passport, which is their path out of poverty. So that's kind of the model is pretty simple. We're a software as a service business, as simple as it gets. There's a million out there.
No, that's true. But seeing something like this in action just, is amazing to me. I guess one last thing that I do have is, and maybe that's with perhaps more on the scalability issues of blockchain and technology. Where do you see the struggle in terms of using this technology as you grow? And I'm hoping that you guys grow very, very quickly, with more individuals being put on the blockchain using BANQU and when working with other corporations. Do you see that the blockchain getting impacted, the scalability being an issue for BANQU?
Not for us, right? And this is kind of where we are, at any given time, 3 to 5 years ahead of any competition out there. You can, we have, patent spending and stuff like that. I think, so one of the things is we don't run a public blockchain, right? Which means, obviously the whole latency and miners, blah, blah, blah. We run a permission network, right? So from a scalability standpoint, we absolutely have no issues. Now, challenges, absolutely, right? I mean, it's like, when you tell people you're trying to pull 100 million people out of extreme poverty and be a $100 million revenue company, they look at you and go, well, who are you, right? Crazy, right? And so the struggle is less around the technology, the struggle less is around scalability. And actually, there's zero struggle when it comes to adoption, right? So like refugees and farmers and people who are using, they love it. I think the challenge, obviously, is that, we basically are deploying something in an industry that has so many intermediaries, right? We're deploying something in an industry where, we are used to giving aid to people, but not doing trade with them. So that it's really change management, getting people to recognize that, people who are in extreme poverty have data rights, and things like that. So, again, we're pretty humble about the fact that, every day is an uphill marathon with a 100-pound bag tied to our ankle, but, it's worth the fight.
No, this is, wow, this is amazing. I believe that the purpose of life is like to add value. And if you can use that with technological innovation, I really feel like, talking to you and seeing what you guys are doing with the blockchain application. I've never seen anything like this in my life before. And this is what excites me about blockchain and what individuals and teams like yours at BANQU can do. So yeah, this has
And
been just,
I kept telling people, look, we're live, right? You can log in, take a look at it. Well, so it's not a PowerPoint, it's not a white paper, and it's
yeah,
not a slam. It's just, we believe that, it's there's a need to solve in the world today, which is our
yeah.
extreme poverty, refugees. So let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this has been great. This has been just such an, so much to learn for me. So many questions right now in my mind, and just like excites me more. So I guess the one last thing, I want
Yeah.
to ask you before I let you go. I know you've got some calls coming up. Is that, do you invest in cryptocurrencies yourself?
I don't.
No.
So it's just because it's all my heart, soul, and money is on the fact that we have a pretty good chance of pulling 100 million people out of poverty. So
Wow.
that's where I'm sticking to that goal right now.
That's amazing. Well, Ashish, once again, thank you so much for your time and showing us this great technology that's so innovative and perhaps so revolutionary in what you guys are working on. I'll pray for you guys and support you in any way I can. Hope that you guys reach that 100 million and perhaps one day, to 2.5 billion. Yeah, just through the BANQU platform. Thank you so much once again for
Thank
your
you so
time.
much.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it. Thanks
yeah,
for the opportunity. God bless. Take
yeah.
care. Thank you.
Have a great one.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.